Yo, good afternoon,
What's up,
everybody.
Sean? How do you?
Afternoon, brother.
The Wagwan.
What's up, guy? What's popping? What's popping?
Okay.
Nothing much. Another day. How you doing?
I love it, bro. Hey, man.
Glad to
Living
hear.
the dream, building the dream, man. You know what it is.
I know that's right.
Love it, bro. You got a full house. What's good? Nick, how we doing, brother? What are you doing outside, man? You gotta get to bed, you know?
Bro, it's just enjoying the weather, man.
I love it. You get some sunlight up there?
Yeah. The only thing is that the sun goes down at like 4 p.m., 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Damn, that's a little early. Shit.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right now it's 11 p.m. for me.
All right. Where's your blue light blockers, man?
I need to order. I'm gonna order those when I get back to Ireland.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Well, let's waste no time, y'all. We're here for pure value, pure sauce, everything to do with health, performance. But I don't just want to come on here and preach. Sunday was yesterday. It's not today. So I say that to say, I just kind of want to know where everybody's at. You know, is everybody feeling good? What are some things you're like, yeah, if I felt just this a little bit better, I think I'd be better as a person for my team, for my job, for my money, my family, whatever it may be. So y'all let me know where you're at, and then we'll kind of gauge it from there instead of me just lecturing you guys, which is no fun because that's what YouTube is for. So let's do it. So if anybody wants to open up their mic, go first. If Nick wants to start something off, let's do it and let's run it from there.
Don't be shy, guys, or I'll start picking on you guys.
Yo, sorry, I had to switch devices really fast in the middle of him saying that.
Yeah. I'm like studying right now as well, but it's all good.
So you said was the question was though like what we feel kind of where we're at in terms of where we feel we can optimize?
Yeah, I love it. Already saying optimize, my man. Yes, sir. So where do y'all feel like is maybe some pitfalls and some room for improvement? And then I'll kind of start there and we'll get it rolling.
One thing that I would say, watch out for that car. They're not paying attention. One thing that I would say is it's definitely been a big mental and mindset hurdle, kind of just going through that evolutionary like transition in terms of like knowing what I do need to do to put myself in that better position, but also just kind of smashing those habits off. Kind of it's easier to add things in than it is to take them out, and kind of just that transition period. I've had a little bit of a fun game with, to say the least.
Interesting. You bring up a great point, brother. I think this applies to everything in life, but this is a universal concept, but it's especially prevalent in health. It's not always about doing the right things. It's more so about not doing the wrong things, right? If a plane is trying to take off, they're trying to take flight, they're doing what they're doing. They can have the biggest engines, they can have whatever. But if the fucking plane weighs 4 million pounds, it's going to be so much harder for it to take off versus if it has a lean crew, lean manifest, whatever, they call it in the plane industry, and it's just taking off. So it's not always about, what's the perfect habit? What's the perfect supplement? What's the best diet? Sometimes it's almost more so just like, what are the things that I'm doing now? And like, just, use your common sense. What are the things I'm doing now and or people or beliefs or habits that are going to hinder me in any way from getting to my goal? When you kind of like simplify it like that, it's a lot easier to be like, you know what? Yeah, I don't really think vaping is going to get me closer to my goal. You know what? That chick that keeps coming around just as a booty call, yeah, she ain't going to help me get closer to my goals, So get rid of them. Then things are going to get you get closer to your goals. Think about it. How can I place them into my life? And then how can I optimize them to make sure I'm getting the value from them that I'm looking for? So I'd say that's probably one of the best places to start. You don't want to play tug of war with yourself. You want to be on one side, pulling that bitch as far as you can for as long as you can. You don't want your demons on the other side holding you back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess like a quick follow up on it in your personal journey, right? When you were knocking the habits out and just evolving, what kind of what kind of processes did you go through in terms of like elimination and maybe even mindset? Kind of just your experience.
Yeah, that's a great question. Simplified answer is it's all about who I want it to be at the end of the day. I know I was just having a call with a client earlier this morning, and he was asking me, he's like, everything's going well, I'm doing the habits, but I just really find myself scrolling at night, and I just can't stop. And obviously, there's like science behind that, right? That's dopamine, and dopamine is very important for entrepreneurship and in general. But at the core essence, think about the goals that you have, right? Not just 1 year down the line, but 2, 3, 5 years. That version of yourself, would they be doing the behaviors you're doing now? More than likely, the answer is probably going to be no. So if you know where you want to be in 3 or 5 years, you can start to reverse engineer, okay, like what do the steps look like to getting there? 9 out of 10 times, bad habits or bad beliefs, bad actions, they're not going to really get you there. So I think that's the mindset you need to have is like, who do I want to become? And then what actions does that individual take? And if you take those actions, maybe not even in the perfect way, but you just take the fucking actions anyways. It's just like when you start posting on YouTube, right? You have no idea what you're doing. There's no perfect day to start. And you start posting some vids, you start getting some haters, you start optimizing. The data starts telling a story. And next thing you know, you've really built something special 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years down the road. So I think it's about cut out the bad things first and then understand, would the person that achieved my goals, would he be acting like this right now? Would he be thinking like this right now? What would he be doing in this position? Kind of reach to your higher self for that wisdom, then apply that wisdom today. And if you're patient, you're going to notice you'll get the results that that future you has. Once you put in enough work, you stay committed, and most importantly, you stay consistent.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense, bro. Because I would always do the opposite to where I would like add stuff in or try to be like, better or more optimized, whatever. But I never at first took the thing of, okay, let's look at all the bad habits and then let's knock them out first. So thank you for that, bro.
Absolutely. So I think success is, yes, about addition, but I think at its core essence, it's a process of elimination because you're going to only get busier. People are only going to be hitting up your phone more, especially for women, they're only going to want you more. Your ability to say no is going to be your superpower. And a lot of people struggle with saying no. And that's why something that can take a very focused individual 6 months will take your average person 3 years. And I'm pretty sure everyone in here wants to reach their goals fast. You don't really want to be waiting for life to kind of pass you by. You want shit and you want it now. It's not going to happen now, but there's ways to accelerate that. And it's by eliminating the shit that's going to hold you back and prioritizing what's going to move you forward.
That makes 100% sense, bro. Thank you.
I love it, bro. I love it. Stefan, I've been patiently waiting. Talk to me, brother.
So yeah, brother. I was just like, contemplating, just having problems with like my overall thought process about like my whole journey in the space that I am in right now with the boys and like the whole like make money for yourself and not work for a boss type thing, because it was kind of like this comfortability that was so nice to live in that just kind of like not blew up, but I just like had a hard time leaving it, to put it for lack of better words. So I guess my question for you is, in your specific case, when you first started out your journey, how did you deal with leaving that comfortable side and knowing that you were meant for more?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Going back to the roots. I love it. So for me and my story, to give you a bit of a story, to give you a better story, when I was younger, I grew up middle class, didn't have it hard, but I went from having a very nice house in the suburbs to showering with cockroaches. So I really got to see both ends side of the stick. I got to see, okay, cool. You step outside, you don't go out at certain times. Other times I was racing the fucking go-kart around the yard. So I think for me, seeing both sides of the stick, it painted the picture very clear for what I wanted out of life. And I think a lot of times people struggle with direction, and half the battle and pursuing a journey, your path, sovereignty for yourself, half that battle is most importantly understanding what you want, and I'd say even more importantly understanding what you don't want. Once you understand the people you don't want to fuck with, once you understand the thoughts you want to dwell on, once you understand how you want to feel, money you make, the way you want to perform, what your life wants to look like, how you act when you go into certain rooms, you start to understand, okay, if I don't want those things and I do want these, again, what actions can I take to bring myself there? And then be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. So I think understanding what you do want and what you don't want, that brings you a lot of clarity. And then understanding that, then you can set goals. And everybody's waiting. Hermosi says it's beautiful. Everybody's waiting for the perfect condition to start, knowing that the perfect condition to start is starting without the perfect conditions. It's perfect. The perfect condition was yesterday. The day before that is today. Worst thing you can do is absolutely fucking nothing.
Well said. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
clarity, brother.
Yeah, a lot. Thank you so much.
And do it on paper too. because I think at the end of the day, like computers are great, but even from a science perspective, like your brain is rewiring itself when you write things down. If then, you don't like keeping paper, that's fine. Take a picture of it, put the picture in ChatGPT, say, hey, whatever you see in this picture, write it out, copy and paste it on Google Doc. There you go. But I think writing down on paper really kind of gives you the element, brings you into that moment, and now it's real.
Oh yeah, I agree with that 100%, man. I'm just about to write it down right now.
Amen, brother. Speed to implementation, action over everything. AOE. All right, Adrian, how are you, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. So, I had a quick question. Actually, I'm still 17, and can I ask more specific questions? Is that all right?
Go ahead.
What I've seen recently is like on some days, literally in the afternoon, I just need to sleep, bro. Like for no reason. Like my energy falls. I'm just looking to fall asleep for no reason.
Mhm.
I wonder, is that a problem or some shit? I don't know, bro. Like I've heard like you shouldn't need carbs or something like that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right, Nick. I'm gonna tap you in here. You had a little problem like that, and we solved that in what 30 minutes. So tell me kind of what the problem was.
Yeah.
What caused it, and then how you solved it, and maybe you can resonate with that, Adrian.
Can you guys hear me? I know my Wi-Fi is a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I had a problem of I'd have afternoon crashes at like 1-2 p.m. And I was telling Sean about it, and I was telling him kind of what I eat for breakfast, and it was like a big English breakfast, so eggs, sausages, bacon,
Yeah,
bread,
I saw that on the
cooked
Playton, bro.
with-
Yeah, I watched the
Huh?
Playton.
Okay, but yeah, so he basically told me to kind of cut out the sausages, bacon, like all the fats, and swap out the sunflower oil for the virgin oil. And that literally the next day, like I didn't fucking crash.
Mm.
So it was weird.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Is that
So-
something you do, Adrian? Do you typically kind of wake up and either have any kind of caffeine, energy drink, or coffee, or
No. I literally haven't drink an energy drink or something like that.
you
Since,
do or you don't?
Don't. Never.
What about coffee?
No, never also.
What about
Multiple times.
what do you eat for breakfast?
So I have school. Usually, I just make myself like a sandwich or something like that, with the ham, butter. Yeah, usual, and a bit of fruit. Yeah, carbs. Yes, that's it. What I usually eat.
And what do you have as a beverage to go with that? Just water, soda?
Yeah, just water.
Okay. It could be, so if it's not caffeine, it definitely could be probably like there's a lot of carbohydrates in that first meal. Bread, one, it's
Yeah.
shit. And two, full of just carbohydrates. So typically, a lot of times when you have a certain meal and like you're thinking like your different macronutrients or like carbs, fats, proteins, when you really exceed kind of going a lot more into like one area, for example, carbs, it's very hard for the body to like balance that, which is why sometimes you'll see like for me and kind of what we did with Nick, the best first meal is something that's high protein, very stable levels of energy, and then high fat, which maintains that level of energy, gives you clarity, and then just a little bit of carbs, because carbs are going to be a fuel source. When you have a lot of carbs, those are heavy on your digestive system, and that takes a lot of energy to go ahead and digest. And your body can only do a few things at once. It can do a lot, but when it comes to heavy processes of energy, like thinking, digestion, sleeping, those are very big processes for the body, and they require a lot of energy. So if you're eating something that's very high carbs, your stomach and your digestive system is taking that energy to the point where it's not really giving energy to maybe where you want it, which is up here in the mental. So I would say probably maybe try to bring that sandwich down a little bit. Maybe try to add some kind of protein in it. Protein, it could be eggs, it could be different kinds of fish, different kinds of meat, right? Different kinds of pork. And then for fats, nuts, fruits, grains, and then just a little bit of carbs. And you want to have a little bit of rice with that. You want to have some sweet potato. You want to have some quinoa. Excellent. But you really want to keep that first meal kind of high fat, high protein. If it's not the food, then it's either sleep or hormones. Hormones got to test. Otherwise, we're kind of just like, firing from the hip and ain't going to really hit shit with that. You got to aim the first to fire. And if it's sleep, there's obviously quite a bit of work that needs to be done. But those are kind of be the other two if it's not the sandwich in particular and it's not any kind of caffeine.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. I got you. Come on, I know y'all got more questions, man. Fire them out. Let's go.
Um, I just had a question that popped up in my mind.
What's up?
So, basically, what I was wondering is, um, since I am a person who like struggles with chronic insomnia, I do have a hard time sleeping at night. So, like the whole like hormonal imbalance slash like chronic sleep, um, I feel like is a big reason why I kind of like struggle with weight loss. So I just wanted to know like per year experience in the domain, um, and with the clients that you had, what thing could actually like work for me despite me having those problems. Like I try to like get some melatonin gummies to sleep, those don't work. um and like for hormonal imbalances, I just don't know how to fix that. So like if
Yeah.
you could like provide some insight on that, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. So I'm not sure kind of like what kind of doctors you see, but when it comes to sleep disorder specifically, insomnia is kind of the top of that list. That is something that is like it's not I wouldn't say a mental problem, but it's an actual disorder, right? So I'd say for that kind of maybe seek more professional help where they can do more testing and understand kind of what can really be behind that. It could be genetic, it could be a lot of things.
Mhm.
Hormones will contribute too. Things that definitely you can control, at least maybe it not being as intense.
Yeah.
I would say winding down at night, which is kind of what I call like a pre-sleep evening routine. We all got like a morning routine, right? But everybody forgets we
Mhm.
need an evening routine. So I would say some kind of wind down, which I can absolutely send everybody here, kind of like a health blueprint that encompasses all that. I'm happy to send it over to y'all. So I would say doing some kind of wind down. And then a big part of that is also the body and the mind has anchors to certain environments, right? So this room that I'm in now, right now I'm at home because I usually just fly different countries and not wasting money on a rent. So right now I'm home, but this room that I'm in, it's like an office, right? It's like an office. My mom's got like some storage and some books in here and shit, and then we press out clothes. So when I come into this room, my body knows, all right, like we're just here to work. I don't chit chat here. I'm not really like on a connection friendly Zoom call here. I'm not eating in this room. I'm not watching TV. It's really for work. So I say that to say build certain anchors to certain environments. So when it comes to sleep, you really want to make sure that your bedroom is just meant for sleeping and making love. You don't want to do shit else in the bedroom. That's literally it. So the best ways to do that is like remove any kind of electronics from your room, even clocks. They can subconsciously mess with your mind. So you really want no clocks in there. You don't charge your phone, maybe in the kitchen or a different room if you have one. I try to make the room as dark as humanly possible. Any kind of light keeps us up, kind of reacts to your brain, says, hey, it's daytime when really it's not. You also want to keep your room as quiet as possible. So if there isn't a lot of noise in your house, we recommend some earplugs. You want to make sure it's also as clean as possible. Not to say that anybody here is not clean, but dust particles will literally fragment your sleep. You won't know it, but you'll know it 10 years down the line when insomnia gets worse. Dust particles can actually contribute to that. So I would say more or less try to keep the room as clean as possible. And then, yeah, don't eat in the room, bro. Don't watch TV in the room. Don't be scrolling on the phone because the same way how like the room is set up for me to come in and work, when I go in my bedroom, my body like knows like, oh, okay, we only really do a few activities here. I like to read in my room sometimes. And every once in a while, I kind of do like some kind of meditation. Usually I do that in my living room. And then it's just sleep. So my body knows, hey, like we're in this environment. It's a lot easier for me to fall asleep quicker and more importantly, stay asleep. I don't think that would maybe cure insomnia, but it would definitely help you get better quality sleep with the variables that you can control.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, man. I really appreciate it.
I got you, brother. And to add to that as well, if you can, take a hot shower before bed, as hot as possible.
Okay.
Or a bath. Either one works. Personally, I love baths, but I don't have a bath here anymore. So try to take like a hot shower or hot bath. What that does is it basically heats up everything outside your body and it forces your internal core temp to drop. So the cooler your core temperature, the faster you can fall asleep, and more importantly, stay asleep. So when you heat the body up, the body's like, ooh, like we're nice and warm, nice and hot. But the body always has to come back to a baseline. That baseline is also called homeostasis. Y'all probably heard of that a little bit, homeostasis. That's the balance of one. When the body's pulled to one extreme or the other and it stays there, it starts to give you a lot of problems. But if you condition it properly, like a cold shower or a hot shower, and then you allow your body to kind of come back to that naturally, you can get the results you're looking for.
Got you. Yeah. Perfect. Oh,
Uh,
right.
I'll put like a health blueprint. I'll put it in the chat, or I'll give Nick access to it. It's like a template. I give him his own for his situations. We hopped on a call, but I'll give you guys like a template that has like a bunch of actions, routines. You can even just start with just a routine just before sleep. Start kind of feeling that out, see how that goes. Then you can move on to maybe like something in the morning, and then things to do during the day, and then
Okay.
to help you feel more focused on calls or in the chats. Just work your way up.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Sure. Happy to help, brother.
Thank you.
Call number 2. Holler at me. What you got?
I know you mentioned caffeine earlier. I just wanted to know your opinion on ingesting it in the morning and throughout the day.
Yeah, great question. Caffeine is huge. So kind of the science behind that is you want to wait at least 90 minutes after you wake up. If you really can, 2 hours. That's a sweet spot. Let me tell you why. There's a molecule in your brain called adenosine. When you have caffeine, before your body naturally wakes up, your systems kind of go into their own rhythms. If you have caffeine right away, and my father is a victim of this, he gets up, fucking half asleep, makes his way to the coffee pot and just taps the button. Doesn't drink any water, doesn't get any sunlight, nothing. But if you have caffeine as soon as you wake up, basically caffeine takes the seat of where adenosine is. And adenosine kind of works with melatonin. They work together to help you fall asleep. So when you wake up, if you don't wake up and let your body naturally warm up, caffeine goes and kind of sits in adenosine's seat. So adenosine is kind of like put on the back burner, like, oh shit, like, all right, guess y'all sat down first. There's no more room for me. Once the caffeine wears off, then he's like, okay, cool. He got out of my seat, runs in, grabs the seat, slump, right? And that's also why I was asking Adrian, is it maybe caffeine related? Because that's a great reason for an energy crash. Again, the food, hormones, sleep. So I would say in particular that if you can just delay when you do consume caffeine, like an hour and a half, 2 hours after you wake up, the adenosine kind of came, it went inside of your system until the nighttime returns. And then you can ingest the caffeine and you can still get the natural benefits of that without the crash that comes later. Just don't have any caffeine after 2 or 3 p.m. because then it does stay in your bloodstream. And although you may say, oh, I can have caffeine before bed, I can have a cup of coffee, whatever. Yeah, you might be able to go to sleep, but internally, and you still might be asleep, your body won't be able to get into deep sleep. And that's where a lot of the processes that keep you fresh, energized, very, very sharp, those get depleted when your body's not properly able to stay asleep deeply. And caffeine can ruin that if you have it too late in the day.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Does that add a little bit of clarity?
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't aware of that at all.
Gotcha, bro. Excellent. And make sure y'all always drink out of glass. No more plastic. Plastic fucks up your endocrine system, which is your hormones. We need our testosterone. We need our free testosterone. We don't want any of that stuff going down. We need as much as we can get and then some, as long as it's not synthetic, of course. So don't drink out of plastic. If you guys are cooking something, like let's say you got eggs in the morning or whatever, try to opt for like cast iron, because that way there, when you think about it, right, maybe when like you're scraping your eggs, put them into your plate, whatever it may be, all these little kind of, most of these pans are made out of like aluminum. So this little aluminum or this little plastic, that plastic coating that when you first get them, that kind of seeps into the actual metal itself or the aluminum. And when you start, brushing your eggs off or you get them in the plate, even though you don't see it, there's little tiny pieces. And those fuck up your endocrine system, which is your ability to produce your hormones. And we all know the importance of that. So just be careful. Get rid of plastic, right? Instead of just filling up a plastic cup, fill up a glass bottle. If you're on the go, you're going to the gym, maybe you don't want glass, you don't want to drop it. You can get like a flask, like stainless steel, perfect alternative. You can do that as well. Just anything besides plastic, especially if you're warming up something in like the microwave. Think about it. You have heat. Heat makes things expand, right? Cold makes them contract. So when you're warming up something with plastic in the microwave, again, you won't see it, probably won't taste the plastic, but it's in there. And it's years and years and years of it building up. That's when you really start to see hormonal issues down the road. Sebastian, I saw you join a bit later, brother. Any questions? Anything I can answer for you? How can I help?
I don't really have any question. Maybe I have a question regarding sleep. So a lot of people mentioned that 8 hours of sleep is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like, based on studies and everything, that if you need more than 8 hours, it's fine, it's healthy to fall asleep for like 9 hours or 10 hours if you need it sometimes? Or is it like 8 hours, you need 8 hours and no more than that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when it comes to sleep, there's a formula behind sleep. It's called QQRT. It's basically a formula that ensures sleep performance. So you're getting like the highest quality of sleep. The first Q stands for quality, right? So making sure that, let's say we spend 10 hours in bed. We want to be asleep ideally for, let's say, 9.5. You don't just want to be in bed, right? Just sitting there, because then again, you're fucking up that anchor that you want to build to sleeping. So that's the first one, which is quality. Right. The second one is quantity, right? How many hours you get. I know some people that they've literally just like tracked their own data. They've run their own studies like on themselves, and like 6 hours is good for them. They look at the data, they run through the sleep cycles, they feel good, they're great. There's no other biomarkers that are kind of out of range that might be caused by short sleep cycles, and they do good. So it kind of varies from person to person, but most of those people are like an anomaly. Most individuals, the majority of people, you really want to shoot for, I would say, being in bed for about 8.5 hours. So your sleep no less than like 7 hours and 45 minutes. And that way there you can predictably run it. So that's the quantity. Then you have R, which stands for regularity, which if somebody had to be like, which one's most important out of the four, I'd probably say regularity. Regularity is the consistency. If you wake up and you go to bed at the same time, plus or minus about 30 minutes, that's the leading indicator to getting the best quality sleep. If let's say, you have a day where, shit happens, life just gets in the way, you only get like 5-6 hours more or less, kind of catch-up sleep is a myth. Like it doesn't fix it, but it can help more or less. So if the next day, maybe you had 5 or 6 the previous day, the next day, maybe instead of your normal 7, maybe you get like 8.5 or 9, that's okay. But realizing that's not replacing the mistake. It's not like I can fuck up my sleep for the week and then on the weekend I'll catch up. The body doesn't work that way. It needs that level of consistency. So I would say shoot for 8 hours. If you feel terrible, in 8 hours, maybe shoot for an hour more. See if you feel more refreshed, more energized. If not, take it down an hour. Go to, 7 hours. And then try to, I know some of you guys might still be working or you have some schedules, but if you can wake up naturally, let your body wake you up, not through an alarm, that can give you a lot of insights and data itself, which actually hours are good for you and whatnot. But again, I know everybody doesn't necessarily have that luxury, at least not yet, but it's well on its way. If you can try to wake up when your body's ready to wake up, that's going to be a whole lot more benefit.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, man. The one problem that I've been having recently in the past weeks is I wake up whenever, but the issue is that I wake up, but I just stay in bed for like 15, 20 minutes at times. I just think about things of the day before, the week, and my life in general, and I just stay in bed,
Yeah. So I guess your question is, how do I get the fuck out of bed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say one of the things that helped me, because I struggled with this early on too, is do some shadow boxing. So the reason why the body doesn't kind of want to get out of bed is because maybe your sleep isn't dialed in and you haven't been consistent enough quite yet. So your body's like trained to know when to get up and when to pretty much go to sleep. But until that training really happens and your body gets accustomed to those routines, one of the best things you can do is just get active, get your blood pumping, get your respiratory rate up. And one of the best ways to do that is I just start throwing hands. I just start throwing hands, going crazy. Next thing I know, I'm like, all right, cool. Get out of bed. I'm ready to go for my day. And eventually, once the sleep is dialed in, you'll get to a point to where like, hey, your eyes open, you're like, okay, cool. Feet hit the ground, you get up, put your shoulders back, and get on with your day.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. And just do anything to get out of bed. Like, like if you got shit to do, or let's say there's something you have to love in the morning or you want to journal, put it in a different room, right? So you have to get up to go get it.
I wish I could just click a button and then just get some music rolling and everything. It would be awesome, though.
Yeah.
It would be OP.
Yeah, you really want to limit. So we'll have a quick chat here that I think will be very valuable for a lot of people. Does everybody know what dopamine is? You guys have heard of dopamine?
Yeah.
What does dopamine mean to you guys? Put in the chat, raise your hand, speak out loud. When you hear dopamine, what comes to mind? What's up, Stefan? Talk to me.
It's the happy chemical that gets released in your brain after you get something done.
I love it. Okay, cool. You're on point. You're about 70% there with that answer. Anybody else? Jono, you're going no? You ain't heard dopamine before? You're okay, man? No?
I don't know the technical answer, but I think it's something that gives you instant reward, right? But not delayed gratification.
Yeah. So dopamine really is the currency of motivation. So yes, you do release dopamine, like when you watch something you really like or you do something you enjoy, dopamine is released, which is why drugs are dangerous. Because anytime you do an activity or an input and you get the reward exactly, there's no like time delay and there's no effort delay. That's literally how addiction happens, right? So take like cocaine, for example, right? I've never done it, I never will, but if you sniff a line, I'm not sure if any of you have or people, how quick, it's very, very quick to when you're like, whoa, like, wow, shot of energy. So dopamine, whenever you have an input and there's no time delay, like a decent amount of time, and there's no effort delay that was put in to achieve that reward, that's really how addiction happens. Motivation is really what dopamine comes down to. Yes, it releases when you're happy, when you've had a successful day, sex, all these kinds of things. But dopamine is really the currency for entrepreneurs. And the currency is, of course, discipline matters, but it's really motivation. Now, a quick TLDR on dopamine. Dopamine is like a wave pool. So think about if you ever went to like an amusement park, water park. Once you splash that water out of the pool, it's gone. The ways you replenish dopamine or you get more dopamine, there's some foods that can have a precursor to dopamine, which is called L-tyrosine. So there's a few foods that can, like for example, like very, very thin cuts of raw dairy that have kind of been aged. Sometimes they can get white crystals on them. Those can have a little bit of dopamine in them. But ideally, you really only replenish dopamine when you're sleeping. There's certain tools you can do, like a guided meditation or a certain kind of body scan called an NSDR, which stands for non-sleep deep rest. But really, dopamine is really replenished when you're sleeping. And that's why it's very important to sleep properly and do that consistently, which most people don't do. The thing about dopamine is that almost everything you do releases dopamine. So when you said I play music in the morning, that's why I was like, oh, red flag, because your dopamine is most sensitive during your morning hours. And a lot of people waste all their dopamine in the morning, which is why they're just dragging and sluggish and just can't find the motivation to do the outreach, do what they need to do, whatever it may be. Dopamine is very sensitive within the first 30 minutes to 1 hour of your day. So when you work out, you release dopamine. When you do any kind of work, whether it's focused or even just admin work, you release dopamine. When you eat, you release dopamine. Right now, we're talking, you release dopamine. You have sex, you release dopamine. You go ahead and you work out, you release dopamine. You watch a show, you release dopamine. So if we only have a finite, AKA a limited amount of dopamine, we have to be careful where we allocate that dopamine. Where does it get released? So when we play music, or let's say you're going to the gym, right? Let's say you have some pre-workout before, then you have the actual exercise itself, then you got some beats in your ears or music just pumping you. You're releasing so much dopamine at one time. You're stacking sources that you literally go from here and you have that crave that goes up like, wow, I feel pumped, I'm good. But whenever you go really above baseline, you crash below it. The goal is we want to kind of go up, we want to come down and kind of teeter here. Then you do things like cold exposure, kind of force yourself down in a conditioned way, and you kind of come back up, and then you teeter here. That's when you have an elevated dopamine baseline. Most people go like this. It's just unpredictable, and you just can't get shit done. So the way to solve that is understand these activities that release dopamine, and then make sure you don't stack them. So when I get up in the morning, right, first thing I do is I hydrate, I have my spring water, I put in some Celtic sea salt, which has the electrolytes plus the trace minerals from the sea, not just some synthetic electrolyte pack. And then I immediately go out and get sunlight. I don't have any music. I don't have anything in. I have my glasses on because obviously it helps me focus the light on my eyes. And then I don't go on the only thing I do on my phone in the first 30 minutes is I pull up my meditation app, which is called Headspace. And I just look at it, click on a button, and then close my eyes and I'm into it. I'm not doing any kind of scrolling. I'm not looking for follow-up emails. I'm not looking to see who booked on my calendar quite yet. If you don't have those 30 minutes available, wake up 30 minutes earlier and make it available. It's very, very crucial to wind up properly so you can have peak performance during the day. And just remember, keep in mind, tomorrow's performance starts on how you wind down tonight. So if you want to have a great day tomorrow, you got to do the shit that's required to set tomorrow up to be for a great day, not just wake up and expect it to be one. So that's kind of how dopamine works. It's the currency of motivation. And then once you go ahead and you make a promise to yourself, you set a goal and you accomplish it, you release a lot of dopamine and your brain remembers that. Every time you release dopamine, your brain has like a mental memory, like, okay, cool, wow, I did that and I got that reward. You build confidence. Oh, I smoked weed, or I did a line of coke, or oh, I just, had a booty call, whatever. I just had sex. It's very short term. You get dopamine. Your body's like, oh, that wasn't good. That happened really quick. That wasn't supposed to happen. You're supposed to work for this shit. And then it trains it. And that's why you get the cravings more and more and more. So whenever there's that massive time delay and there's no effort really involved through that time delay, that's really the true essence of addiction because your body's always craving more. And the goal is to elevate that baseline and build the awareness to know, yep, this is going to release dopamine. So is this, so is that, and so is this. So let me only pick like one or two things. That way I'm not stacking sources and then I just feel drained and I'm moping through the rest of the day. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? Was that a terrible explanation? Or was that?
No, that was perfect. Literally perfect.
I love it. I love it. Excellent. You got a question for me, Isabel? Hit me. No questions?
Oh snap! What? The name is Isabel on there.
Yeah.
Shit. My sister's emo, you know. Shit. Hold
No,
on.
you're, no worries, man. But check this out. Does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I want to share my screen and go over something pretty cool.
You can go over. You can go over, man.
No questions.
All right, so let me show y'all something pretty cool. Hang on, let me pull this up. This is gonna be cool. All right, check this out. All right, I should be able to share my screen. Let me see. Sweet. Alrighty, so check this out, y'all. So I'm gonna give you access. I'm gonna give everybody access to this real quick. But this is kind of like a universal, like, what the fuck, why is this not loading? There we go. Just kind of like a universal template, right? So, come on, computer. I hate when it does this shit. Anyway, okay, cool. So this is a template everybody can have access to. I can send it to you, or you can literally go on my Instagram and you just click a link and like duplicate it into your own Notion. But this is something, right, that can be kind of like a blueprint, right? You don't know where to start. You know, you're kind of like, where do I go? Like, which is most important? Here's a perfect place to start, right? So this has a very good outline, a very good structure for kind of how to attack the day, which things to kind of go for. And then habit stacking, you start to, okay, yeah, that worked well. Yeah, I mean, that's okay, but I don't really see the benefit from it. Let me try something different. And we keep iterating, optimizing from there. So for example, right, the wind up is kind of my way of saying morning routine, right? Now, everybody has a different morning routine. Some people have none at all. I think if you kind of like just get up out of nowhere and hop right into work, I think that's okay. But if you want to kind of have like your energy and your focus like the best it can be, if you want to show up as the best version of you, not just, you know, as good as you can, but the best that you can, you really should wind up. And from a biological standpoint, from a health perspective, there's certain levers you can pull on. So some people love to meditate in the morning. Some people love to journal. Some people love to do like an ice bath, you know, sauna, cold exposure. Some people love to go run a mile, like whatever it is. But if there had to be something like just a very, very ground level framework, or like, what are the things I just have to do? I don't want to journal. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. What are the things I just need to do so I can have peak focus, clarity, energy, all that stuff? And that's pretty much what I put right here. The first thing everybody should do is when you wake up, you should hydrate, right? So as soon as you get up, ideally, if you can, right, try to go for the glass, not the plastic. Fill it up with some spring water, preferably not from the tap. You know, if you don't have a filter, you can't afford one, I get it. If anything, you know, I'd probably buy bottled water and then dump the bottled water into the glass, but that's just me. I'm paranoid. Of course, you can do what you want. But I would say hydrate first things first. That's what's going to unlock the mental clarity. And given you've just been asleep 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, right? Pretty much dehydrated. So we want to get up, we want to hydrate ourselves, get the brain flowing. And the first thing you want to do after that is go get sunlight. You want to get the body moving, right? So ideally 10 to 15 minutes is kind of the sweet spot, but people have tight schedules. We all got shit to do. We all got dreams to chase. So at the end of the day, if you can just get outside, go for a quick walk, go down the block, you know, go outside. Maybe I know Nick is in like a villa. Maybe he walks around the villa like, you know, 68 times, whatever that is, whatever you want to do. Just go outside, right? Go for a walk, 5 to 10 minutes. If you have glasses or you have contacts, keep those on because that helps focus the light in particular. People say, oh, if you have glasses on, you're blocking out the light. If you have blue light blockers on in the morning, don't do that. But just normal glasses or contacts, because they help you with your vision, they help you see, it's going to help focus the light on certain cells that are actually kind of are right under our eyes. They're called melanopsin cells. When the light hits them, and it's a very small amount of light, you're not going to get it through a window. You're not going to get it through like a screen or anything. Like you got to be outside. You got to be in nature. When that light hits your eyes, it sends a signal to your brain. And in particular, it releases cortisol. You get that early cortisol pulse that you may have heard somewhere on the internet. You want to try to get that cortisol pulse as early as you can, which is why as soon as you hydrate, which takes what, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it may be, you want to get outside as soon as you can so you can try to catch the sun either as it's coming up in the sky or obviously once it's out. The earlier we can get to when the sun is coming up instead of it just being out for hours. Let's say you get up at 7:30 naturally. You really don't want to start looking at the sun at 11. You want to see if you can get out there within that first 30 minutes or that first hour, right? Hydrate, go for that walk. Your brain or the sunlight sends the signal to your brain, get the cortisol pulse, right? Adrenaline starts to pop out, your dopamine starts to come out, you start to get more motivated, more energy. You know, you're outside, the wind kind of blows past you, put your shoulders back, you know, keep your chest out, set the tone for the day. Personally, I'm a Christian, so I like to pray. I like to show some gratitude. Ask the Lord to keep me safe, what I want to accomplish for the day. I go ahead and I move forward. And I do that every single day. Now you might say, well, what if it's raining? What if it's cloudy? What if I don't see any sunlight? It's all about the signal to the brain. Same thing with the wind down at night. Unless you're like exhausted, you're just slumped out, like you just basically fall asleep because your body's just that exhausted. It's still important to do at least some part of the wind down, if not all of it, because it's all about the signal to the brain. The brain doesn't know shit. Just like it doesn't know the difference between your dreams and reality, which is why manifestation, the law of attraction, all these things are actually real. It's because the brain doesn't know the difference. We got to train it so it knows what we want and needs to go out and get it for us while we put that work in alongside of it. So even if it's raining out, even if it's snowing, cloudy, whatever it is, still go outside for that walk. If you can only get 5 minutes, you can only get 5 minutes. If you can be out there for more like 15 to 20 minutes, even better. You get more sunlight, you get a stronger cortisol pulse, which leads to more energy, more focus, more clarity. But getting outside is still the most important part. That's number one. Personally, I think doing something to feed your mind is extremely important in the morning because one, you're priming your dopamine. And whenever you sit down to, like purposefully write, whenever you sit down to purposely think or journal or plan out your day on paper, the brain literally has to focus. It has to engage its muscles. The same way you have to contract your biceps when you're doing curls. The brain is the same way. And the muscle that it uses is the prefrontal cortex, which is pretty much located right here. Prefrontal lobe, cortex, right in the front. So when you sit down and you meditate, right, you focus on your breath or you focus on writing the words on the paper, the brain's like, okay, cool. Like it's early, right? I got my sunlight. I'm hydrated. I'm energized because I slept good. Now it's sitting down, it's focusing to write or pray or meditate, whatever it may do. You're priming your dopamine, and it's basically like warming up before a gym workout. It's like stretching before you run, right? It's really going to help you prepare to get the maximum output from whatever that next activity is. So I recommend doing something like that. And again, all this has hyperlinks. So if you're like, where do I get Celtic sea salt or where can I find this stuff? There's YouTube links here. Click on it, bring you right to the page, right? All completely free and all good. And then this is just me, right? The gratitude check-in. I personally do this on my walk. As I said, I kind of, express gratitude and I do prayer. But then I also have a journal where I have like 5 things in particular. The first 2 are things that I'm thankful for. 1, 9 out of 10 times relates to family. The other one kind of relates to the value, the impact I'm providing to people and how grateful I am to, be in a place to do that. The third one is kind of like what I want to do for that day, like move the needle. And then pretty much the last one or the fourth one. So the second to last one is pretty much just like kind of business goals I have, what I plan to do specifically to achieve that goal. And then the last one has to do with my core values, right? Like every day I prioritize my health, my relationships, and my mindset. And every day I stick to who I am and I keep moving forward. So that's kind of like my 5. And I do that after the hydration, go for that walk, get the sunlight, do my prayer, come inside, I do my guided meditation for about 8 minutes, 9 minutes, so call it 10 minutes. And then I do that little journal, and then I'm off to the races. I'm either on a sales call, I'm recording YouTube videos, I'm doing content, client fulfillment, whatever it may be, right? That's kind of my wind-up routine. That's what works for me. Not 30 minutes, not 3-4 hours, and it's not I just get up and go right to work. I'm priming myself to unlock the highest level that I can from me. And that's the wind-up, right? So that's kind of the morning routine, more or less. Everybody has a morning routine of some sort. If you don't, excellent. I just gave you one. But let me ask you this, and let me come back to the camera because I want to see y'all reaction. Can a car go from 60 miles an hour on the highway to automatically pulling into a garage without braking? Yes or no?
No.
Why not?
No.
Supper, bro. Like, you're bound to flip and crash into something. You can't even like steer at 60 like to the right
It's
place.
that inertia, bro.
Exactly right. So what the evening routine does is it pumps the brakes. But a lot of us forget about that. I just, do my work, hop off my call, plan my day, check my email, watch some YouTube, go to bed. Brain doesn't think that way, and that's not the way it works. So we need to implement something that basically helps, again, signal to the brain. It's all about the signal. Hey, I'm going to go take this hot shower. Hey, I'm going to plan my day out. I'm going to have an easygoing conversation. I'm going to do some meditation. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do some self-reflection, whatever it may be. Those are all signals to the brain, things that are not mentally stimulating, to signal to the brain, say, hey, we're pretty much in that last phase of night. We're going to start entering sleep. This is where we rest, we recover, we reset, we replenish our dopamine stores. Any kind of cuts, bruises you may have, there's certain phases in sleep where you actually start to heal those things, which is why when you cut your finger, right, put a Band-Aid on it, you don't go get fucking surgery, right? A week later, it heals. All that stuff happens during sleep. So That's really the essence of what a wind down is. It's that pre-sleep routine to signal to the body, to the mind, hey, we're going to that last phase of the day, just like we do things in the morning to prime ourselves to get the highest output we can from our own health and our own biology. The wind down is the exact same thing for at night to go to sleep, right? And remember, tomorrow's performance is dictated on how we wind down tonight. Always keep that in mind. So when you want to fuck off with your wind down, you don't want to do it, think, do I want to be my best tomorrow? Or is it a day where I can really just do nothing and kind of chill? I don't need to be at my best. Then don't wind down, go for it. But you're an entrepreneur, you're in this game, you chose to invest into yourself. It's obviously why you're on this call. So you probably want to make your days the best that they can be. And that's what matters. Winding down is going to help you get the best out of the next day. So personally, what I do, right? 90 minutes before, I really try to be in bed by 11:30. So I typically am in bed by about 11:10, 11:15. I'm usually asleep by 11:30. If I had a very long day, there's a lot on my mind, thinking about new offers, right? New things like that. Business is just kind of going crazy. Sometimes I can stretch a bit closer to like 11:45, 12 p.m. or midnight. But even then, that's still okay because I wake up naturally at 7:30 every day like clockwork. I'm up just like that. No alarm. No, ain't nobody waking me up. Nobody's pulling sheets off me. Nothing. I wake up like clockwork. So when that alarm goes off for me at about 9:15, 9:30, 90 minutes before I try to be in bed for 11 p.m., that's my way of saying, okay, cool. If I'm on a call, doing something with the business, whatever it is, miscellaneous shit, that's my signal to be like, yo, like whatever you're doing, let's go, wrap it up. And that's when I pretty much say, okay, cool. What was on my to-do list? Got this done, cool. All right, that's going to go move to tomorrow. That's going to move the needle. I'll plan that for the first part of my day. So that's why the wind down is 60 minutes, but my alarm goes off 90 minutes. So I give myself that 30 minutes to say, hey, whatever we're doing, right? Maybe I'm not just going to stop it right there. Maybe I have to finish something. I give myself that 30-minute room, that 30-minute space to say, hey, let's finish it up. Time to wrap this shit up, right? So that's why the alarm goes off 90 minutes, and really the wind down is about 60 minutes. And again, I have some clients, I have some friends, their wind down is only 30 minutes, and it does the job, and it works perfect for them. But start with something, and then optimize as you see how you feel and as the data comes in. So that's what I do. Alarm goes off, right? Finish my workday. I'm good to go. I then sit on my phone, right? I prep tomorrow's schedule. Sometimes I do some self-reflection. Then I'm like, all right, cool. No more screens. I'm done with the day. I did my work. This is me time before I fall asleep. So I go ahead, take a hot shower. I have my blue light blockers. So basically I have normal glasses, as you can see. So I have like a film that pretty much goes over my glasses, kind of covers the whole peripheral version here. I just flip that on. Obviously for you guys that don't wear glasses, pick up a pair of blue light blockers. There's a link right here. I think it's like $30. Don't wear these in the morning, right? We actually want blue light in the morning. We still want it during the middle part of our day. It's the latter 2-3 hours of our day. We really want like no blue light, because that fucks up your body's normal release of melatonin, which helps us fall asleep at night, right? And never buy melatonin over the counter, because the regulations are so flexible to what the label can say versus what it is. And the last thing you want to do is put something in your body you think is this, and it's completely different, and you have no idea, right? It's the last thing you want. Got to act with precision. So that's what I do. I'll hop in the shower, take a bath, right? 10 to 20 minutes. As soon as I come out, I already have the lights. I have a dimmer in my bathroom. So I kind of dim the lights, keep it nice and low. And the shower is good. It's a good place to just reflect. Some of my best ideas come to me. I'm sure you guys can probably relate shower thoughts to just something else. Great time for me to reflect, think about my day. If I had a really hard day, just sit there, let the water run down on my back. That was tough. Now, can I just ask you to mute your mic real quick, brother? Thank you, bro. So yeah, pretty much, get out the hot shower, lights already dim, blue light blockers are on. From there, obviously I go get dressed. I also have a dimmer in my room, so I keep the lights really low. Blue light blockers are on. Typically, if my father's outside, he's not asleep yet, he's not doing something. Usually my mom works at night, so she's not quite home. I'll sit there. I won't talk to him about like, so Dad, I had this sales call and I got this, and this objection. No, we just talk about something simple, easy going. How was his day? How was my day? Things I plan to do tomorrow. Just some things on my mind, just basic shit, nothing crazy, mentally stimulating. I'm not putting together a go-to-market plan, at night, because again, that's mentally stimulating. We're trying to tell the brain, hey, we're kind of done with that part of our day. It's time to wind down. So I have a little easygoing conversation, or if I'm not in the mood to talk, which sometimes happens quite a lot at night, I'll just do a daily reflection. And that can either just be me sitting down, literally just in silence, just like this, just sipping on just a little bit of water, just being with my thoughts, be present with them. Sometimes it's written, so I'll actually go ahead and write things down in a journal. Other times I literally grab my phone and I record a video of myself, like things that I'm just reflecting on. And I kind of put that in like a Google Drive that I just keep to kind of document my journey as a person, as an entrepreneur. It's just my own individual. Sometimes I do that. And again, my blue light blockers are still on. So by the time this goes off, finished my work, took the shower, got dressed, put on the blue light blockers, did some reflection or had a conversation, I'm already about like 35, 40 minutes in. So then when I go ahead and I'm either in my living room or I'm in my room now, I do like a 10 to 20 minute guided meditation, right? Take the mind off of the mind. Or I do an NSDR session, which an NSDR stands for non-sleep deep breaths. I've mentioned this before, but the true essence behind this is it's like a very detailed body scan, right? So if you guys click on it, you kind of go through, it's like a prompt, kind of like a guide that goes through it. And it'll start like at the head, right? It'll kind of go down and it's just like focus on your breath, right? Kind of focus on your feet on the ground or on the floor in bed, focus on the sensations, if I can speak properly, the sensations in your feet. And what it does is it takes the attention off of your mind and it puts it on the body. And that helps the mind start to ease into sleep, feeling drowsy, etc. and etc. So you can do a 10-minute one. You don't feel nothing, do it again, right? Or sit in bed, and kind of wait for yourself to be drowsy. If that doesn't work, right, go ahead, then do a guided meditation. Maybe that works better for you. Maybe the tone in this person's voice in this video is better than the person in this. Maybe it's more soothing to you. Who knows? You don't know unless you try it, right? And now I'm at 50 minutes here. That's when, again, it's about 10:45, 10:50. Sometimes it's a little bit later, like 11:15, 11:20. And I sit in bed, I get comfortable, kind of like in meditation. You're putting your attention on the breath and just letting like the thoughts just come and go. I don't count sheep. Again, I was taught to do that as a kid, which is the biggest fucking lie I ever heard. Count sheep. That's literally making your mind think like 1, 2. You don't want to think, right? You want to fall asleep. But if you kind of just sit there and you're kind of breathing, if you put your attention on the breath, kind of like how you do in meditation, if you ever tried that, next thing I know, lights out. 10 to 15 minutes. Usually I kind of go before that, as my body and my mind are trained. So that's how I wind down, right? Some people literally just take a hot shower. They just put on their blue light blockers and they'll kind of just do an NSDR and boom, they're out. Some people do, an hour guided meditation, don't do any shower, put on their blue light blockers 3 hours before, and then they're still on their phone. And although, they're not supposed to, it kind of still works for them. So at the end of the day, it's knowing what are the fundamentals, prioritizing those, and then finding what works for you. You're not going to know that unless you test it, you try it, and you kind of not necessarily track a data, but you track how you feel, right? I did this, these actions led me to how I felt on this day. Cool, I really like that. Let me duplicate that. Let me try it again. Oh, I didn't like it. I did this, and I don't really like the way it made me feel, or I just felt like it was a lot of time for almost no result. I'm just going to try something different, but you don't know unless you don't try, right? So that's the wind down. That's kind of the pre-sleep evening routine, right? The wind up is like the morning routine, priming yourself for the day. If you just do these two, or just one, just start with one. That's all you get from this call. Just do one. Promise you'll make a world of a difference. You'll feel more energized, more focused, more mental clarity, and you're going to start to level yourself up, which is going to make you better in your work. It's going to make you better in your relationships. You're going to see the dollar in your bank account go up because you're going to be producing higher quality of work at a faster rate. You're going to really start to see the results oftentimes within as soon as 3 or 4 days. Okay. So that's the wind up. That's the wind down. I have no problem going through it a little bit more, but I do know it's 4:53. And I know typically sometimes these calls are about like an hour. So I want Nick to kind of guide the way. Let me know what he wants to do. And more importantly, let me know if you guys got that and if you want to continue or if we're good to wrap things up here. It's on you.
I'm just interested in what else you want to continue. What else is there to?
Yeah. It's quite the blueprint. It works very well, but it's up to you guys. I'm rocking with y'all.
Nick, it's up to you, innit? No.
Up to you guys. I'll let you guys decide.
Yeah, I'm interested. I want to know more. I feel like I need something like this. I definitely need something like this. I can't lie.
You want to keep going? Want to give it like 10, 15 minutes?
You don't have to say exactly how I think this works.
Yeah, we can keep going.
All right, cool.
I will just say first, Niall, are you falling asleep, bro?
Yeah, it's been a long day.
Good. It's not me, is it? I'm not making you fall asleep, am I?
No. It's nothing to do with you. Apologies.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Nah, bro,
talk's
I
been
was
good.
practicing
Yeah,
the
long day.
wind down.
Like a heart full of my credit.
He's got to wind down. That's the thing. He ain't wind down yet. I'm just playing.
Would that be like a hair full of my credit?
Wait, let's keep going, and then we'll kind of play it by ear. We'll see how it goes.
Bet.
Beautiful. Alrighty. Sweet. So let's go back to it. Here we were. Beautiful. So that's the wind up and that's the wind down, right? Everybody gets that. We understand how it works. We talked about dopamine a little bit earlier. This is exactly why we do not use screens for the first 30 minutes to 1 hour after waking, because that's when dopamine is the most sensitive. We want to hold it. We want to hold on to it. So once we start that first step.
So if they say that, then just play it off, roll it off.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Sweet. So yeah, that's kind of the essence of why you kind of want to block out those first 30 minutes, that first hour. I know some of you guys might be thinking, well, like, what if I just don't have the chance to do that? Like, Sean, I get up, I get right to work. Sounds good, but I really don't have time. I challenge you, get up half an hour earlier, get up an hour earlier. Not only will you be able to have time to do this, again, when you put your mind to something and you say, I'm going to work out, I'm going to wind up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have that tough conversation, I'm going to break up with that girl, I'm going to get rid of that friend, then you follow through on that. That is the essence of building confidence. I get these questions all the time. How do I build confidence? Where does confidence come from? It comes from making promises to yourself and not fucking keeping it. That's how you lose confidence. Say, hey, I'm going to do this, and you do it. Your brain has a memory for everything. So if you talk yourself into something and then don't do it, your brain remembers that. And that's all the more power it has for the next time you do something. So for every time you don't want to do something, but you made your promise to do it, and you do it, despite how you feel, your brain's like, +1, check mark. So next time you have to do something like that, you have more willpower because you've been flexing that muscle. You've been using it. Contrary, more you procrastinate, the more you said you're going to do something you didn't. Your brain's like, oh, I mean, it's okay. I could just say shit and not do it. Yeah, we can get away with it. It's all good. Is that what you want? Is that really what you want? You want to lose confidence so much you can't do what needs to be done to get where you want to go in life. You don't want that. So one of the best ways you can do that is start by little small habits, which is why the wind up and the wind down are great. Not just from a health perspective, not just because it's going to help you make more money, but it's going to build your confidence. It's going to rewire your brain. It's going to make you successful. That's why you want to do it. Okay. So let's talk about everyday habits. Of course, there's a lot that you can do in here, but if you got the wind up dialed in, got the wind down dialed in, you're like, cool, what else can I do? I'd kind of take you to these everyday habits, right? Cardiovascular and digestion reasons. Try to go for a little walk after every meal that you eat. Anytime you eat, whether it's big, small, lunch, I try to stay away from snacks. Really, you want to prioritize like whole foods and have that in meals, so 2 to 3 meals per day. But after every time that you eat, you always spike your blood sugar. No matter what you eat. Obviously, if you eat something with sugar in it or a lot of carbs, obviously the blood sugar spike is going to be a lot more. But anytime you eat something goes in your mouth, right? Dopamine is released and you also spike your blood sugar. It always happens, the way science works. In order to make sure that little rush that you have or that little blood glucose spike, in order to make sure that when you do have it, you don't come crashing down, the way to kind of come up and just kind of teeter here at the baseline, go for a walk, right? The walk has so many benefits from, once again, we're getting outside, right? We're getting some sunlight, getting in nature. Again, I know there's this whole kind of debate and thing with grounding, but grounding is real. There's electrons, there's neutrons, the electric magnetic field that Earth is built on and energy. The closer you get to that and the more time you spend in that, the more you're going to feel relaxed, the more you're going to feel in tune, the more you're not going to be anxious and uptight in life. You're going to be free flowing, you're going to have more freedom mentally, right? So the more you get outside, the more sunlight you get, helps regulate your metabolism, your hormones. Again, that blood glucose spike, it helps kind of regulate it. So instead of coming and crashing down, kind of come up, kind of teeter-totter on the baseline. Walks are great for that. And it also helps in digestion. I know this might be a little bit of a weird example, but for some reason, anytime like maybe I eat too fast, because I tend to get really hungry sometimes and I just chow down really fucking quick or whatever it might be. When that happens, sometimes like I eat so fast or something just didn't mix with me. And I'll get a little nauseous, kind of like, oh man, I really don't hope I fucking puke. One of the things that I do, it's like my go-to thing to make sure I don't puke, because nobody likes to throw up, let's be honest. I'll go for a walk, right? It actually helps in digestion, kind of helps tell the body, hey, like we're going for a walk. Like I know that digestion is hard. Maybe I eat something a little bit rough. Go for a walk, kind of helps take your mind off it as well. And it actually helps the digestion process, right? Additionally, there was a study done. I have to find it. If you guys really want me to, I'll find it and I'll send it to you. But there was a study done between the age ranges of, I believe it was 36 and 54 years old. So I know that may not apply to a lot of you guys, but because you're younger, that even means there's more room for growth and improvement. So the study was done for the ages of 36 years old to 54 years old, it was male and female. And they found that if an individual went on 3 walks a day, ideally 10 to 15 minutes each, not even after the meal, just in general walks. They took walks outside 3 times a day, about 10 to 15 minutes a pop. That gave them 11 years of quality life, like not just fucking years of just life, but quality years of life to their lifespan. And that has been proven with thousands and thousands and thousands of participants. And that's in somebody that's already at 36 to 54. If you start these habits, if you start ingraining this now and you let it become a lifestyle, bro, you're only going to start adding more and more years onto your life, and it's going to be quality years. So the more successful you become, the more money you accumulate, the more influence you have to add value, make a genuine impact in this world, you're going to have those quality years to enjoy what you've built and continue influencing the next generation. That's the way I look at things, right? So figured I'd share that with y'all. And if you go for it after the meal, even better, more benefits, more habit stacking. Moving on to exercise and vitality. I like to, again, if you guys are going to move up to closing, which I'm sure is a big objective for a lot of you guys, or, you're doing deep work blocks, whatever it might be, that's very sedentary, right? Most of the time you're sitting down, you're in your seat, whatever it is, kind of like I'm sitting down right now. The body needs to break up that sedentary lifestyle. Otherwise, that leads to being hunched over, right? Your energy is just not predictable. Your blood is not really circulating because you're sitting down. 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to have people bringing you meals and bringing you your hydration and all that. You got to get up and do that shit yourself, right? So if you can break up these blocks of work, whether it's 90 minutes, ideally, maybe even an hour, or maybe you're kind of going for a big focus block. Maybe you're doing 3-4 hours of deep work in one pop, sometimes like I do, which I had to work up to over time. Break that up, right? So if you're like, I don't have time to go outside for a walk, or let's just say it's pouring rain, and you're not in the mood to go fuck around in the rain, you can do an exercise snack. And even in between calls, right? When you're closing, taking sales calls for your own offer you'll be running soon, whatever, one day, something to break up that very just on the computer the whole time, the whole day. You could do it in your room, like I do it right here in my office. It's like an exercise snack. An exercise snack is kind of like just a circuit of a few quick actions, right? So for example, exercise snack I like to use, it's a circuit for about 3 minutes. It's about a minute each, more or less. And I like to do sit-ups, I like to do jumping jacks, and I like to do shadow boxing. So I'll do each one for a minute, and then in between, kind of try to rekindle my breath. And what it does is it resets my state. It gets my adrenaline pumping, which is what adrenaline is like the scientific term for energy. It gets my dopamine. We talked about dopamine. It gets my dopamine levels up, so I become more focused, more engaged in what I need to do. And more importantly, you just got rejected on a sales call, right? Fucking people are ghosting you in DMs. You're just like, damn, fuck this thing. You just got to reset your state so you don't carry that energy into the next call or the next DM or next prospect, whatever. It's very important to reset your state. And an exercise snack can be a great way to do just that, right? 2-3 minutes. And it's not like chugging a Red Bull or like a bunch of caffeine where you're like focused, but you're like wired, like all jittery and shit. It's not going to do that. It's going to make you feel like grounded, but like ready to go. Like the essence locked in. And that's what an exercise snack can be. If you don't want to do an exercise snack, again, you go for another beautiful walk, right? You can do some kind of breath work. The key, I'll give you guys a little bonus data set. When it comes to breath work, the science behind it is anytime you take very quick inhales, your heart rate and your energy goes up. Anytime you slow your breath down through long, deep exhales, heart rate and energy goes down. So if I was really tense, right, somebody really pissed me off or whatever it was, I don't want more energy in that time. I want to kind of calm myself down. So that's when I'll do something like this. I'll do a very big inhale and a very, very long, deep exhale. So something like this. And then I'll really slow it down. You do that a few times, you'll notice like, wow, a lot more calm, a lot more grounded. You're in a better place to make decisions, to speak to somebody. Vice versa, hopping on another call, kind of just feeling a little laggy, don't have time to go do an exercise snack. Do just the opposite, right? Very quick inhales, do a couple. Do that quite a lot, ready to go, right? Ready to hop back in and crush it. So that's kind of the essence of the breath. You speed it up, energy goes up. Really slow it down, you take your time, you bring yourself down and you relax. So those are things you can also do to kind of break up these work blocks more or less. You can do an exercise snack, you can go outside, or you can do some kind of breath work. You can also just kind of get up and just move your body around. You can do some kind of stretching, move your limbs around, because obviously you've been sitting down, they're stationary. Those are great ways to do that. And then again, for mental health and focus, an NSDR session is also great. If you have a little bit more time to kind of break up the calls or break up the work blocks, you can kind of allocate 10 minutes, do one of those body scans. You'll feel a lot more relaxed, a lot more focused when you also come out of it. And it'll also help replenish some of that dopamine, especially if it's been a very exerting day, you had a very hard workout, kind of just feeling tense, feeling stressed. NSDR session is a great tool to have in your toolkit. And I'd say this is one of the most important tools to give a try and give it time to let it show you the effects. If you do NSDR for months on end, you start to rewire your brain to to be less anxious, be more focused, and more calm to make clear decisions.
Defining the properties, man.
Quick one on that as well. So I did my first one last week. Like when I did it, like I felt so relaxed after. It was like mind blowing.
Yeah, and imagine if you did that for 6 months straight. How would that
Yeah.
change the wiring in your brain? How would that make you a more calm, grounded individual, make clearer decisions on your business, deliver to your people?
Free training.
Yeah, it would be crazy to be honest.
Exactly. Everything is about doing something right and then being consistent with that to not just see the short-term result, but the long-term outlook of that. That's what's key. We're here for those big swings. You don't take big swings.
Man, I mean, if I could make this full
Take them focused by hitting a home run, and that takes time. Cool. So let's kind of move back into it. And then here, this is just something I put. This is also kind of like my lead magnet. So obviously, I want to get people in my ecosystem, right? I want to get them watching the YouTube and eventually book a call so I can change their life, all that good shit. But I think it is important to understand the science. Kind of like I talked about the coffee, the dopamine, right? It's awesome for somebody to tell you, hey, just do this. But once you have the knowledge as to why you're doing it and you understand it, one, you're more likely to do it because you understand why you're doing it. And two, you do it consistently over time. You build this level of awareness, which I think is so key. From awareness when people are just kind of pushing you too far to awareness and, oh, I got a sugar craving. I'm aware I have this craving. It's not just I'm hungry. You have that level of awareness to say, hey, that's not where I want to be. If I have this sugar, I know it's going to cause me to have a crash after. I know I got to get back to work because I need to achieve my goals because I want to build a beautiful family one day. I want to have time freedom. I want to have location freedom. I want to have financial freedom. If you to make shitty decisions, okay, see what happens a year later. That's the life you're living because of those decisions you made a year ago. You're not living the life today from what you did yesterday. Oftentimes, it's months and years back of what you did that determines your current state right now. So feel free, look at these YouTube links, watch the YouTube video, ask me any questions. I just think it's good to understand the science behind it, which I dive into quite a bit on those. Any kind of questions on the midday habits before I kind of move into sleep, which I think you guys are going to absolutely love. Any questions on that? Any clarity I can add for anybody?
No, everything's pretty clear.
No, all
Let's
good.
go.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Beautiful. Now, we were talking about QQRT, right? QQRT is like the formula behind sleep, right? So we talked about this, right? Q, first one is quality, right? So ensuring the total amount of time that we are asleep is deep and restorative. So if you end up getting like a Whoop, right? Or you get like an Oura Ring, I think like the Google Watch or the Samsung Watch or the Fitbit, I think they also kind of let you know that. I just think when it comes to like, the accuracy of those numbers and that data, I think that's where kind of Oura and Whoop tend to kind of be your better quality brands. Not to say the other ones are trash, but again, accuracy, precision, it's important when we're trying to reach a very specific outcome. So I think, for example, the Oura Ring or the Whoop, sometimes if I say like, okay, I was in bed for 9 hours and 12 minutes, but I was asleep for 8 hours and 56 minutes. That means that latter 24 minutes, I was kind of just like entering sleep. I was kind of just getting there. Over time, we want to see that number come down, right? So we kind of want to have the space between how long we're in bed and how long we're actually asleep. We want to try to keep that closer and make that time in that window thinner and thinner over time. So when we go to sleep, we're sleeping. We're not just fucking around, just sitting there awake, right? Moving on to quantity. This is the total amount of hours you're actually asleep, right? You don't want to have 7 hours one day, 5 hours the next day, 10 hours the next day, 8 there. You want to try to aim for that consistency and those quantity of hours. Once the body knows, yo, I'm giving you 7.5 hours every night, body's like, okay, cool. That's what you're giving me. Let me see what I can give you in the best form of results, right? If you give me 8 hours and then you stick to those 8 hours consistently, it'll give you 8 hours of sleeping results. If you're kind of giving it 5 hours here, 10 hours there, the body's like, yo, like, what are we doing? How am I supposed to do my job? I don't know what's going on here. So if we can try to keep how long we're sleep consistent, that pretty much leads us right into regularity, which is essentially how consistent are you in getting the highest quality of sleep every night? And that also feeds directly into timing. They're all related, which is why it's in a formula. I would say regularity and timing are kind of like best friends and they're like cousins, right? So regularity is how consistent you are and making sure you're going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. Timing is that bedtime and that waking time, 7 out of 7 days in the week or 6 out of 7 days in the week. How close and consistent am I in those bed and waking times, right? So if your natural wake up time, which you test by not waking up to alarm for a few days, your body normally wakes up, you can say, okay, cool. Plus or minus whatever that time is, 30 minutes, I'm good to go, right? And that's really going to help build that anchor and that predictability in your sleep, which is going to give you better results over time. That's what's known as QQRT. A lot of people, just to be very blunt and give you the full truth, Most people don't even fucking sleep right, period. And then on top of that, they don't even stay consistent once they know they do. I had a home screen on my phone where I went to a Porsche dealership and I looked at a Porsche and I was like, that shit was fire. And for some reason, I was like walking the other way and like my boy just caught a fire pic of me like walking away from the Porsche. It just looked sick. So I took that, I uploaded it to Canva, and then I wrote a little text box in it, and it said, sleep is your edge. And it really is, because I'm well rested and I'm consistent and I do everything else to bring my health full circle. Excuse my French, but I'm very hard to fuck with. Like if you put me in a competition with other people physically, mentally, very likely to get smoked, because my ability to be well rested and be on point consistently is very drastic from other people's ability to do that. And when they are at peak, they're usually using external stimuluses like caffeine, like nicotine, like drugs. My health is my asset. It's not just something I'm trying to maintain, and it's not a liability. It's literally something that fuels me to be my best. It's like a tool that I built, that I'm consistent, that I now have, that took time to get there. It's an asset. QQRT is the essence of that asset for sleep in particular, right? Now moving on to like some really cool stuff. And we talked about this before too. The body and the mind are all about anchors, right? You really want to transform your bedroom from this place where you eat, you watch TV, you chit chat, you have fun with your girl, you work. You want to transform that into a place where it's just for sleeping and just for romance. That's it. Sleeping and making love, baby. That's it. Nothing else should be happening in that room. And the best way to do that is not through really adding things, which you can. There's certain tools you can have, like a dehumidifier, blackout curtains. But the true essence of building your sleep sanctuary is removing things first, just like we talked about in the beginning of this call, eliminating what's not going to work from our life, and then start to slowly adding what's going to help us in our life to get to where we want to go. So that includes removing all electronics and clocks, keeping the room as clean as possible, dust particles sitting on furniture, a dresser, a nightstand, a light, a lamp, whatever that may be. We breathe in that stuff while we're asleep. It's around us. We're breathing it in. Of course, you're not going to see it now, but you'll see it 10, 11 years down the line when you have sleep apnea, which you don't want. Okay. Keep your room as dark as possible. Obviously, you want to, like, if you wake up during the night by accident, you want it to be pitch fucking black, because the body knows, well, it's dark time, should probably be sleeping right now. If there's any kind of light, because again, the brain doesn't know. If there's any kind of light, the brain's like, oh, might be morning. Yeah, need some energy. And then you wake up, it's 3 a.m. Right now, your sleep is fucked up. It takes more time to get back into that rhythm you were once in. That's why you want to keep it as dark as possible. And when it's darker, that's when your body's like, oh, wow, yeah, melatonin, the thing that helps me fall asleep, I need more of that. Produce it, produce it, produce it. And that comes from the pineal gland, which is kind of like, take like a drill, kind of like in the middle of your head, more or less. That's where your pineal gland is. And it's really almost like a pea, which is, they kind of call it pineal, peel, some shit like that. So yeah, you want to keep it as dark as possible, right? So if you can, use blackout curtains, or, you know, what you have now works, excellent. If you do have some kind of electronic, or I don't know, you got a fucking fish tank or like whatever, I'd recommend taking it out of the bedroom. But you can always get some blackout tape, you know, whatever. You just put it on those little sources of light that maybe are in your bedroom that it doesn't really make sense to take them out, right? You can use blackout tape. Keep your room as quiet as possible. Obviously, if it's loud, people talking, TV's on, shit is banging, whatever, like your mind's going to get disturbed. Whether you're conscious or not, the mind is still going to be disturbed, and that's going to impact your ability to get quality deep sleep consistently. And then keeping your room nice and cool. Right. I know, kind of us here in the US, we're the only idiots that use the metric system and kind of go by degrees in Fahrenheit. So you can make this conversion for where you're located and how your system is. But ideally, 63, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, that's where your body's kind of nice and cool internally, and it can help you continue to fall asleep. And again, more importantly, stay asleep. The key here is you really want to kind of go to bed almost on like gym clothes, right? Kind of like some mesh, some kind of loose fitting. I've even seen kind of like people just go to bed and just like a very, very small little like mesh tank top and kind of almost like some gym shorts, right? Like letting themselves breathe is most importantly. If it's cold as shit, like it's winter here now, I think it's like 35 degrees out or something, stack up on as many blankets as you want. But the immediate clothing, the immediate cloth that's around you, ideally you want it to be free. You need to let your body breathe. You don't want your pores suffocated, right? So I even had somebody, I'm not gonna mention any names, but I even had somebody ask me like, yo, I sleep naked. Is that good? Absolutely. I think it's awesome to sleep naked. Just make sure, obviously, your sheets, your blankets, all that stuff is clean, because, obviously you're leaving crevices and things open. If you are sleeping naked, you want to make sure there ain't no dirt, no particles, bacteria, or clothes from early in the day. You don't want to make sure that's in your bed, because that's going to get into those crevices and infection, bacteria, the whole nine, right? So try to wear loose fitting clothing. If it's cold, stack up on blankets. stack up on comforters, but the immediate surroundings of you, aka your clothes, try to make those loose fitting. And I guess something you can add to that as well is kind of similar to like we talked about plastics, you know, and try to aim for glass, or, you know, when you have like the cooking pan, try to go for cast iron instead of aluminum. Another thing you kind of apply to clothes is try to always get like cotton t-shirts, cotton underwear. I know a lot of guys will sometimes wear, you know, like that stretch kind of like compression underwear and shit. Like, dude, we're not training for the Olympics. Like, let yourself breathe, right? Like, give yourself that room to be open. So ideally, loose fitting clothing, and if you can, cotton. It's easy on the skin. It's not synthetic. There's no polyester in it. Those are really kind of like this. The shirt I have on right now, this white under V-neck right here. I wear these V-necks all the time. Pure cotton. Feel great, loose, feel good in it, look good in it. Perfect. And last but not least, the environment, right? Keep the room for sleep and making love. Don't work in your room. Don't eat in your room. Don't watch TV in your room. You know, if you're watching a YouTube video, you know, try to watch the YouTube video, you know, out in the living room or out in a different room where you work. Then plug the phone in that room and then get into your bed and go to sleep and leave the electronics out of it. It's all about building anchors and the signal that the mind has where those anchors are located. So even if, like, you know, let's say I have like 5 bedrooms in my house right now, which I don't, I'd ideally have like one room for like just personal development. So like just for writing, just for reflection, just for meditating, just for breath work. I'd have another room where it's literally just for work, like just for work. I'd have my bedroom literally just for sleeping, and just for kind of little parts of my wind down. Obviously, you have the kitchen just for that, and then your living room for kind of like just entertainment and leisure, right? Things when you're not trying to, you know, curate a certain output. So that's kind of behind sleep. So when people think of like sleep, right? Wind down, QQRT, maximization, transforming the bedroom to a sleep sanctuary. You do those 3, you do them consistently, you go from wherever you are in life to you triple your output. And it takes a little bit of time, but it doesn't take as long as you think. When you start doing those things right and you start adding them in little by little, you can start to see insane results without really buying or needing anything. I would say within almost like less than a week, which is really cool. And obviously you stay consistent, those results stack over time. So that's sleep. That's the wind down. That's QQRT. That's how you transform your bedroom from a bedroom into a place where it bolsters and sets yourself up to have the highest quality and duration of sleep, which aids in everything you want in life. I believe if we can sleep consistently and sleep properly, do all these things right, you can absolutely be living past 100 years old, given everything else is, you know, dialed in, you know, nutrition, whole foods, you're hydrated, you get your sunlight, right? You're active, you don't got people draining your fucking energy and your soul around you. I firmly believe you can absolutely live past 100 and still be in fantastic shape and still be living a very good life. It's been proven in documentaries in different areas of life. I know people that are personally doing it, and there's tons of data that's alluding to the fact that that is very much possible. So that is sleep. Any questions? Any feedback?
I've got a question. So, what is your opinion on ZMA? Apparently, it helps you with sleep. I've been taking it recently.
I'm sorry, what was name this up?
ZMA. It's zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6.
I don't think there's a problem with that, but I'd almost guarantee that if you grab that bottle right now, wherever it was, and you turn that ingredient label over, it's not just those 3 ingredients. And that's
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Everything is about the sourcing and the quality of the ingredients, and also making sure it's just that alone. And a lot of times that's not the case.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're right.
Yeah. And if I could, like, there's a company, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I absolutely stand behind their products. Say, if like you kind of want to like that magnesium, you know, and you had some bread to kind of, I think like their sleep bundle kit when it comes to supplementation, which I would only do after we maximize everything we just talked about.
Okay.
The results you want, then we go to supplementation.
Okay.
And I can recommend a certain company that would be excellent quality products in that department. Oh, I think it dropped off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I don't know what happened, but yeah, sorry, continue.
No, you're good. So I was going to say, before any kind of supplementation, maximize those sleep variables we talked about first. There, then you say, hey, like I'm still doing all that, and I feel like 90%, but I'm missing that last 10%. Then I can recommend you a company that makes really high quality supplements for sleep, and then you can look at those and then look at that data.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Great question. Any other questions, y'all? Before we move on to nutrition, one of my favorite. I mean, to be honest, all this shit's my favorites. Let's see. Luke, how can I help you, brother?
Nah, bro. So I was just thinking about like the technology stuff.
What would you say is a good approach to like because I agree, like you talking about it really just brought it to my mind. Whenever I'm not on my phone or away from my screen, I just like get a lot more quality sleep. But let's say whenever like I will study and work in my room with my bed, uh like what would be a good approach? You know what I'm saying? Because like just to get away from the I guess the habitat of working.
Just do it in another environment, bro. You know, take it in the living room. Do it at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
If you have a certain where do you do like your computer work? Do you do that like out in the living room? Do you have a separate room just for that?
No, I just do it at my desk
And where's the desk located?
in my room
Exactly.
next to my.
But just try to
Okay.
leave the room, and let's really just try to keep the room just for sleeping. And you're gonna notice you're gonna have even far quality of sleep. And once you start taking like your workspace to work and you take it somewhere else, it's gonna be a lot easier to kind of fall into flow state faster and kind of get the work done at a higher rate because the body has that specific anchor to that environment.
Okay.
Great question. I love that. Y'all ready to move on to nutrition?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Beautiful. Nutrition, one of my favorite. Awesome. So just like with mindset, right? Just like with sleep, everything starts with the process of elimination. Life is not always about adding things. Most times it's not. It's about subtracting, right? We work as hard as we want to today so we can have the time and the freedom to do whatever we want, wherever we want. If we're always adding things, where's the time? Where's the freedom? So it's about subtraction first, then adding the things that really add value, really have an impact, then optimizing those to fit in our life the way we want them to and get the results that they give us. So in nutrition, same thing, right? Elimination, any non-whole foods. We talked about plastic, right? We talked about the bullshit in aluminum, right? We even talked about like the synthetic, the polyesters. What's another synthetic that comes to mind? I think wool's okay, but cotton's better. It's a little synthetic, but not as synthetic. But even going back to your food, right? Anything in a box, probably processed, right? Beverages, energy drinks, bullshit, electrolyte drinks. You don't need electrolytes. Just buy some Celtic sea salt, sprinkle it on your food, sprinkle it in your water. Not only do you get your electrolytes, magnesium, sodium, potassium, but you get all the trace minerals, which are just so good for you that your body craves. When you don't have that, you become deficient in it. And that can cause brain fog, more problems down the road, right? Chronic issues. So get rid of the soda, like protein shakes or like protein powders. Again, turn that label around. Is it just whey protein? Is it just casein? Probably not. You got some other bullshit in there, which affects the absorption of it actually in your gut. And that causes way more problems. I literally just posted a YouTube video. I literally called out the whole fitness industry. I'm like, the fitness industry is ruining your life. The fitness industry in 2025 is a $267 billion industry. But when do you ever hear them talking about testing your gut to understand what food should I be eating, since I'm my own human, I'm different than everybody else. And then because nutrition is the primary, if I'm eating right, I'm eating whole foods and I'm still deficient in certain areas, then that's where supplementation comes in. Supplementation is a secondary. Nutrition is the primary. What that doesn't cover, what it doesn't reach, then certain gaps, certain deficiencies, that's where supplementation comes in. But to say, hey, take this supplement and take this supplement, and take this supplement, based on what? What data? What are you addressing? What deficiency are you addressing? You're not. You're just putting bullshit in your body. And on top of that, then if you are not even testing, you already went wrong there. And then the things that you are probably consuming or ingesting, bunch of additives, bunch of garbage, which affects the absorption of those actual macronutrients or protein. So even if you're trying to hit, let's just say 150 grams in protein, right? Let's say you weigh 140, trying to bulk up a little bit, which by the way, you can shred fat and build lean muscle mass and increase your strength all at the same time. Maybe we'll talk about that on a separate call. If Nick wants to invite me back, we'll talk about that later. But when it comes specifically to like food and stuff like that, whenever there's additives included with a single ingredient, it messes with the absorption the gut can actually get. It's not just about eating food and hitting macros. If you're trying to take a protein shake and it tells you, hey, one serving size, one protein shake is 25 grams of protein, for example, right? Because it has all that bullshit in it, your gut is maybe absorbing 13, 14 grams. So these macros you think you're trying to track, that you think you're trying to hit, you're probably coming up 60, 70% short. But fitness coaches tell you, no, you're good. Hit your macros. You're good. Bullshit. It's not just about macros. As you'll see here, the body does not crave calories. Macros are important because it gives you direction, but it's all about nutrients. And when you follow a meal plan that's not based on data, and all you do is eat this and this and this, just to make an influence on how you look, not how you feel, yeah, you might get results in that. You might build a little bit of short-term confidence, but you're going to have chronic gut issues down the road. So once you start becoming successful, once you start building the life you've been working so damn hard, now you got all these fucking health problems. You can eliminate that by just doing what you need to do every single day. Eat whole foods. Don't use plastic, right? Wear things that are cotton. Cook with cast iron, right? Take out the garbage soda. Get rid of the protein shakes. See how much protein you can get from your whole foods. You'll probably exceed the KPI you're looking for if you do it properly. Electrolyte drinks, they all contain cornstarch and this and that. And, like obviously there's a color to it more times than not. So they got to put in, a color additive. That still fucks up the absorption, all of it. The only juice I'd ever recommend having is go to South America, order some orange juice, watch them take the orange, wash it in the water, and squeeze it right there in front of you into your glass. That's orange juice, nothing you actually buy in the store. Okay, that's the difference between real juice with real enzymes, real nutrients, real electrolytes versus orange juice or shit or cranberry juice that's in a bottle. You know how long it stays on the shelf for in the grocery store? Why do you think you can buy a box of pasta? Look at the expiration date. It says it's good for 2 years. How's that even possible? How? Additives. Bullshit. If you went to a farmer and said, hey, I know right now the season is rough. I know right now you might be losing money, but if you just spray this on your stuff, it'll make it look better, look healthier, smell better, and last 8 months longer than it is now, which is typically about a week. And you make way more money, and I'll have a massive order for you to the point where your margins will be higher than they ever are. Do you think the farmer is going to sit there and say, nah, I know I'm struggling and I can't really feed my family, but I'm good. I don't want any of that. It's a very select few farmers that will sit there and say no to that because most people don't have any values these days. They don't have any moral integrity. That's just the world. That's just the world we live in. So at the end of the day, just get rid of it. Just subtract it. Completely get rid of it and just focus on having quality nutrients from whole foods, right? And that then brings me to seed oils. Replace seed oils like canola oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil. Replace that with coconut oil, avocado oil, or extra virgin olive oil. These specific kind of oils, when they're used or they're cooked, they have a far higher heating temp, meaning the flame that you're cooking under can be very hot for a very long time before the oil starts to dissolve into grease. Your seed oils, not only are they terrible and they give you heart disease, but they break down so easily under heat. They have a very low heat temperature. Coconut oil, avocado oil, not only is it tons of healthy fats, things that will help your brain and your body function better, not actually give you coronary artery disease, these will also have a higher heating temp. So they're not going to break down and turn into grease. It's going to be actual oil. And replace those oils. Yeah, you're going to pay for it. People tell me this all the time. Like buying the food, like doing this for like my sleep, even like investing in the program, whatever, like, dude, it's so much money. I'm like, hey man, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, but you're going to pay for this shit either way. You're going to have health problems down the road. You're going to have a health bill. Your family's not going to be the way you want it to be because what you're doing, they're probably going to follow since you're 9 out of 10 times the leader, right? You're running shit. So do you want to pay for it in the long term when things matter more to you? Or do you want to pay to get a locally sourced butcher, pay to have real healthy eggs, pay to pay $19 for coconut oil instead of $5.99 for sunflower oil? Which way do you want to pay? Because you're going to end up fucking paying either way. It's just your choice, right? So you're going to pay. I would recommend, of course, I'm biased, but this is just me. I'd recommend pay up front. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You're going to perform better. You're going to be able to enjoy your life. If you had all the money in the world, but you feel so shit, you can't even enjoy it, ask yourself, what are you doing it for? Here's your answer, right? So that's elimination. Optimization. Whole foods. Whole foods, right? Almonds, one ingredient. Tons of healthy fats in them. Beautiful amino acid profile. Arugula. Pasture-raised eggs. Avocado. Green, by the way, peppers, only get green peppers. Any other kind of colored peppers, they're actually not ripe enough. It don't matter how good you want your fucking steak to look or whatever with some peppers. Just get green peppers. Thank me later. Bone broth. Ghee. Ghee is like your highest quality of butter. You can either get ghee, or you can get grass-fed butter as well. A lot of people like coconut oil as well. That works too. Grass-fed ground beef, right? A lot of times when I make like burgers, I like cheeseburgers like anybody else, right? I'll buy like ground beef from the butcher, and then I'll actually sculpt the ground beef into an actual burger. I won't just buy burgers, right? I mean, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I take this shit very seriously. As you can see, I want to do it the right way properly. When it comes to making sure you're eating the right things, but not quite getting burnt out, I have about 4 to 6 eggs every day. And I don't know, I don't get birds out on them. I love them. They make me feel great. They make me gain muscle and stay shredded at the same time. So I like them. I don't have no problem eating them. And I have a farmer right down the street that raises his own chickens. And I pay for the eggs. I pay like $9 a dozen, which I think in the store nowadays they're like maybe 6 something. So I'm paying for it up front, but I'm getting all the results that I want. And that's what matters to me. I want to enjoy the time that I have here, not just trying to save a buck here and there. But you can keep them diverse, right? So you don't burn out. Pasture raised eggs, ground beef and steak, lean chicken, pork, different kinds of fish. I love salmon. Had some cod earlier, some flounder, right? Some trout, excellent. But remember, it's not just about, this food. It's about the quality of the food. Prioritize the quality of the food and whole food ingredients, and then stay consistent with it. And then you start, adjusting them to hit certain macro goals for certain body goals you'll have. Your hormones are going to start to become more in check. You're going to feel great, and you're going to be able to put on lean muscle mass and shred fat at the same time. That's why the fitness industry makes so much goddamn money, because they tell you, let me sell you a 6-month program, right? We're going to do 3 months of a bulk and 3 months of a cut. There's no phases. There's none of that exists. It's either you're healthy and you're going to achieve your goals, or you're going to be shit and you're going to be running up an escalator that's going down. You'll get up it because you're young, you're energized, you can do it. But how much harder is it going to be? How much longer is it going to take? How faster are you going to reach the burnout? Right? There's your answer. So that's kind of protein. Fruits and nuts. Love fruits and nuts, from fats to antioxidants to micronutrients. Fantastic. Have fun. Try them all. And when it comes to vegetables in particular, try to get vegetables with some roots, right? Try some beets, right? Some sweet potatoes. These things come from the roots. Cook them in. You're going to really feel that the energy in your body increase. So some examples, right? I love almonds. I have almonds almost every day. Walnuts, big fan of walnuts. Love cashews. Love pecans. Now, when you're buying them, I don't buy them salted. I don't buy them honey flavor. I don't buy them with a bunch of shit in it. When I look on the back of that almonds, single ingredient, just almonds. That's it. All right. And again, you can do pistachios. I know a lot of people like different kinds of nuts, like Brazilian nuts are fantastic as well. But again, do the testing, because then you know exactly which nuts are great for you, not just which ones logically sound good. Fruits, blueberries, love blueberries. Blueberries are one of those fruits in particular where they have such a high profile of nutrients, but unlike, let's say, a banana, right, or like a kiwi, they're fantastic, but they contain a lot of natural sugar. Take grapefruit, for example. And it's still going to cause your blood glucose to spike, which is why you want fats and proteins in that meal as well, so it evens it out instead of just having that and then that crash. But blueberries in particular, when eaten alone, although they do contain natural sugars, for some reason, I don't know, I'm going to be honest, I don't know like the complete science behind blueberries. I haven't done like a deep dive on blueberries specifically, but for some reason, they don't cause that massive spike like a lot of fruits do. They kind of come up a little bit, but then they very slowly come down back to baseline. They don't kind of make these massive crashes, sometimes like watermelon will do, or like grapefruit would do, or sometimes even banana. But try them out, right? Blueberries, watermelon, banana, kiwi, papaya, grapefruit, you can keep going, whatever you want. Veggies, right? Avocados, beets, asparagus, green peppers, arugula. What are some other ones that come to mind? Kale, iceberg lettuce, carrots, all different kinds of greens, right? Experiment with them. I remember it was about like a week and a half ago. I had a tray, like a full fucking cooking pan, right? And I put down my olive oil, right? Extra virgin olive oil, kind of coated the base. And then I think I had sweet potatoes. I had Brussels sprouts. I had some cabbage. I had some green bell peppers. What else was in there? There's some asparagus in there. I think it was maybe like 1 or 2 things in there. I had that, and then I had a slow like roast and like a crock pot more or less. And I did like ground chicken from like ground chicken thighs, and I did that with some organic honey mustard. Let that fucker slow cook for like 3 or 4 hours while I cook my vegetables. Put them together, put sea salt all over it, black pepper all over it, more extra virgin olive oil. Mwah. Felt fantastic immediately after I ate it, and I still went for my walk, right? Nutrients. And then as far as like the timing of your meals, you really want to have your final meal like 4 hours before bedtime, because when you eat, right, typically that requires a lot of energy, right? Digestion as a process is very energy intensive, which is why we also want to wait a few hours in the beginning of our day. 1, so we can hydrate, and 2, just use all the brain juice that we have for our work, right? Whether that's deep work, whether that's very important sales calls, whether that's client delivery, or banging out, just like being sharp and just banging out 100, 200 DMs, just getting it done and not feeling foggy, not kind of feeling slow. That's why I kind of wait to eat it. And additionally too, because digestion is a very energy intensive process, It takes energy away from other things. And when your body's using energy, it's working, right? It doesn't matter if you had a Ferrari or you had a piece of shit car from 1922. If the car is on constantly, it don't matter what kind of quality of gas you put in it, 97, race fuel, if the car never gets a chance to turn off or cool down, it will break down eventually. It will burn up. The equivalent to that in humans is you will burn out and you will start to have nutrient deficiencies. So that's why not only when I sleep my 8 hours is my body not digesting, it's healing, recovering, restoring, re-energizing. Those first few hours in the morning, I have all that energy on command to put into the hardest work, exactly what I want to do. And then also because I delay that or I have that before bedtime, my body is using that energy to digest. So once I go to sleep, digestion is pretty much done or it's pretty much on its way out. And I have that energy to rest and recover. So those 3 to 4 hours before I go to bed and those 3 to 4 hours after wake up, combined with the time that I'm asleep, my body is not using so much energy aside from sleep. It's getting a chance to reset, kind of calm down, sit down and just chill. If you're always snacking, always eating, always drinking something, body's constantly digesting, working. If you do that all the time and never has a break, would you want somebody working you 24 hours a day and not giving you one single break? No. So don't do it to your body, right? And then when it comes to like, well, what if I work out, right? I got to eat after I work out. That's the exception, right? You work out, and so you get up first things. Your routine is you go up to smash a workout, get right into it. Then yes, ideally you want to eat about 30 minutes to an hour after you eat to kind of take advantage of that anabolic window. It's not completely true, kind of like how the fitness industry blows it up. But when you eat very close to after your workout, the level of absorption that your body and your gut has within that time period is elevated. So the more nutrients you eat, kind of, the higher quality of foods you eat as closer to, after you work out, the more absorption, meaning the more nutrients, the better recovery you're going to have. But, if it happens 2-3 hours after, it's okay. Maybe instead of a 90% recovery, maybe you might have an 82% recovery, right? So not a massive deal, but the science does prove, eating pretty close after you work out does have benefits. And again, aim to 2 to 3 meals per day. Avoid snacking, right? Not only is it tons of energy, anytime you eat, you cause that blood sugar spike, and then you have that crash. Your energy gets slow. You nap out, you're just ready to go. So I would say those are kind of like the parameters for eating, right? And here's the thing: establish optimal gut microbiome. Your gut is so fucking important. I cannot stress it enough. Establish optimal gut microbiome baseline by first getting rid of all the garbage, right? That's up here, and then starting to add in little by little whole ingredients, whole foods, right? And then the gut is going to be far more healthy. The number one result you're going to see from your gut is you're going to automatically feel so much more focused after a little bit of time. And the one that I love personally is your mood. Just, oh my God, you just feel so much more happier, so much better. You get excited to get to work. Like you can literally, I don't know, stub your toe and you'll just sit there like laughing, like you just have so much joy, just much more in the moment. And that's the essence of life, is joy, right? So when you really take care of your gut is happy, your mind is happy, they work together, they really feel a lot better. You get the increase in your performance mentally and physically. You increase absorption rates. And on top of that, your mood drastically increases, which is at the end of the day, we all want to feel good, right? So then after you optimize it, that's when I say, go ahead and test it, right? Either come work with me or, find somebody in your country or go to some kind of holistic doctor, whatever it may be, and have them write you some kind of script or, get find some website online like I use for my clients, verify the quality of the testing is very good. They're very precise, very accurate. They've been around for some time. They're not a tech startup or whatever. Test your gut. Understand these foods are exactly what my body loves. Then we can start timing meals and nutrients around that to achieve desired body goals X, Y, and Z, right? And then we start letting the data speak. We duplicate what works, we cut the fat, and we keep optimizing, we keep moving forward. After some time has gone by, after you've been having whole foods, you know exactly what you're eating from the testing, and you feel really good, you still want to go up another level because there's always more levels. And 9 out of 10 times, we always have not a lot, but sometimes very, very, very small deficiencies. And by deficiencies after really doing nutrition right, I mean like 95% to 5%, right? It's not like 60-40, right? But that last 5%, really want to catch that. You really want to be at the absolute peak. You've already seen the results in the implementation from the primary, which is the nutrition. Then you can add in supplementation, which is very, very precise. Maybe on a future call, I'll show you guys more. The supplements that I take, I don't take them from like a can or like a company. I really have actual pills that are exactly the micrograms and the milligrams for exact deficiencies in my body. Things like zinc, things like sulforaphane, things like magnesium, not 100 milligrams like you buy in a bottle, 81 micrograms to address the exact deficiency, exactly where it is. only after we've seen the results of the nutrition and making sure everything else is dialed in, right? And once again, the body doesn't care about your calories, yo. It cares about nutrients and then making sure the nutrients are timed and there's enough of them to hit your macros. And that is nutrition. Any questions on that before we move to kind of the latter few here?
The last bit, you said you got like certain supplements specifically for like certain deficiencies that you got. Did you get that done professionally?
Say that one more time, brother.
So you said you had supplements for specific deficiencies that you have. Did you get that done professionally?
I'm not sure professionally is the right word. There's a company that I work with that I'm affiliated with out of Washington State, so pretty much Las Vegas. And I did like a Zoom call. I saw their facility. I didn't have the money to fly out, unfortunately.
Okay.
I saw their facility, and they're a company that I work with that, you know, when I work with my one-on-one clients, I order those tests for them. They then
I see.
get it out to them, take the test, ship it back, then get the results, optimize from there.
Oh, I see. All right, cool.
Yes, sir. And Nick, I think I showed you guys that company on the guest coaching call, if you remember. I kind of went into the foods a little bit. I went into supplementation. Remember that?
Yeah. I think. Yeah. You showed us that.
Yeah, that's the true essence of it. Exactly. That's right. So, any other questions on?
Yeah, I was gonna say if we were gonna do like our own like microbiome testing, how would we just like hit up Nick to hit you up to like with the company, or would we just like go to the doctor? Or
No, you order right off the website. For the company that I use, it's like consumer based. So you can order it normally as if you were buying a pair of socks off the internet. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Depending on where you're located, they ship to a lot of places. But when you typically kind of go outside the US, like they really start to tax quite a lot, because not only is it the fact that it's shipping different, but they're shipping certain biochemicals like saliva, things like that. So the shipping companies charge a premium because it's like live, active things, not just like a product itself. And typically that even brings the price up a bit more. But again, you're going to pay, right? So you just got to choose how. Yes, sir. Beautiful. And then last but not least, just to kind of end it off and the perfect timing right here at 6 p.m. Finally, right, just talking about like environment, right? Kind of not only just physical environments, like again, my workspace is my workspace. My bedroom is to sleep, you know, and for romance. My living room is for entertainment. My kitchen is for eating and cooking, right? Always keep your living and workspaces clean. Right here on my desk, I do have, you know, quite a few sticky notes, but it's very clean. I have my pen, I have my computer here, I have my monitor in front of me, I have some lights, I have a piece of paper here, and I have my mouse and my mic. Nothing else. And I have my phone over here, but that's because right now I'm doing this call. Usually when I'm like, you know, working, I have that in a separate room plugged in, or sometimes just on the other side of the room. So think about, you sit down for your work, wherever you are, you know, especially even if you're at a cafe, right? You got this plate full of food, you know, that you finished here, and your drink here, and do you have people behind you that are always walking in the door that are distracting you, instead of taking a corner spot in the coffee shop, making sure there's only a napkin, maybe just your drink behind you, maybe your phone, you know, under your thigh or whatever, or behind your computer. You're just sitting there and you're focused, right? Is my workspace set up for me to be productive as possible? And I do that by keeping it clean, organized, and limiting distractions to interfere with my focus. And last but not least, a little bit of a bonus data set for kind of falling into flow state before starting any task. Most of the time, like for me, it's very simple. Like in the right-hand corner of my MacBook or my monitor, it shows the date and the time, just like I'm sure it does for y'all. I sit there and I hyper focus just on that. I don't really count, but you know, I just kind of watch the clock go by for about like a minute. Sometimes if I'm just a little tired, a bit more distracted than usual, maybe I'll go a minute 30, about 2 minutes, and just sit there and I'll really focus on it. Sometimes my brain starts to kind of drift a little bit, and I'll bring it back just like a meditation. I'll focus on it again, and that's really the essence of the prefrontal cortex, the focus muscle going zooming in, right? So once I then stop looking at it and I go to the script, or I go to this, or I go to that, I'm locked in. And it's far easier than just kind of hopping in and just trying to wait 5, 10, 15 minutes till I get in. If I don't do that, it'll take me about 8, 10, 15 minutes if you're not trained. If you are trained, you know, and you kind of do this exercise, 2 to 3 minutes, which is a massive difference. And last but not least, guys, mindset, right? Focus on the inputs. You can't control the outputs. You can only focus on what you can control. That's how you show up. That's the intentions you have behind the actions that you do. And that's taking action at the end of the day. Any action is better than no action. For every input, there is always an output. For every seed that is sown, something is grown. Very simple, right? So if you force the inputs, you have the right intentions, and you stay consistent and you use your health as an asset to do all those things I just mentioned at the highest level, the outputs will come. Just stay patient. In entrepreneurship and sales, there's this massive time gap between skills, effort, tons of inputs, and the output you want. That time delay of input, no results, or at least not money. Maybe progress in a different way, right? But not monetarily, not money. More inputs. The longer you can go without seeing that result, the bigger that result will be, the higher quality that result will be, and the more it will be worth it, right? So always focus on inputs. Outputs will come by the law of nature. I want to share a quick story with you guys that I shared on the podcast I was invited on to recently. I got you, Rich. And basically what had happened was, let me go ahead and stop presenting real quick. There was a story that was told. It was a very old story. It's a very wise story. And it's the story of the bamboo tree. The bamboo tree is something that's planted, it's seeds, and you water it every day. You don't see shit for years. Nothing comes above ground. So you got to be thinking, man, this must not be working. I must be doing something wrong. But you come back every day, water it. And usually it's between 4 to 6 years. So on average, about the 5th year, nothing is above ground. But you come back every day, watering. Then that bamboo tree, within the course of a week, sprouts like 5 to 6 feet. That is the essence of entrepreneurship. Input. Sometimes you see results fast. Some people get lucky, right? But at the end of the day, if you want the massive output, if you want the home run, it's about putting in inputs, not seeing results, and still putting in more work, still moving forward. That's the essence of the bamboo tree. Focus on the inputs, stay consistent. The outputs will come as a byproduct of doing so. Rich, you have a question, my friend.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because unfortunately I couldn't join back in during my kids' therapy session. Did you already answer the hard getting question?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. The audio was just a little choppy, bro.
Oh no, you're good. Hold on, give me a second.
No worries.
So connected to my car. I had said, did you answer the hard gaining question like while I was absent or no?
Which question?
So I had asked like if you were like a hard gainer, like me personally in my like growing up, we didn't like really always have all the food to eat. So like I kind of naturally like my body's kind of like on conservation mode. Like I'll just eat what I can, and my body will try to use the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just had like that question on hard gaining and like when you're trying to say put on more muscle or just gain weight in general, how you kind of get past that or overcome that.
Yeah, that's a good question, bro. I would say, kind of just like in, building like your dream, just kind of use what you got, brother. So if you have $10, you can choose to buy cereal, buy this and buy that, or you can choose to buy a kiwi, buy some almonds, and get, one thing of ground beef, right? And you're going to get completely different outputs. Obviously, if you're not hitting certain macro goals, that is going to inhibit your ability to gain more weight. But at the end of the day, that's temporary. It's not going to be like that forever. But in the meantime, you can still look after your health and have quality inputs, so source quality nutrition.
Okay, that makes sense. So really just the nutrients, like locking in on the nutrients.
100%, brother. 100%.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And to finish it off, guys, we'll kind of run through like the last two here, maybe like 5 minutes, and then we'll jump, right? And just always focus on getting 1% better every day. If you were guaranteed a play in the stock market or in the crypto market or fucking real estate, DC, whatever, and somebody told you, yo, you can make over 350% this year, guaranteed. And if for some reason it's not guaranteed, I'll give you your money back times 10. You'd probably sit there and be like, all right, I'll take that. But oftentimes we're not willing to get 1% better every, not just in our health, not just in our skill set, not just in how much money we make, but in anything that makes you a better version of yourself. You just get 1% better a day. If you just say no to one more impulse, if you decide to just go 10 more minutes when you're already ready to give up in the gym, that 1% compounds. That's over 350% every day times X amount of years you decide to be the best version of yourself and stay consistent. If you get 1% better every day for 3 years, it's over 1,000%. Most people never make that investing in their fucking lifetime, but you can do that and you can control it, the investment into yourself. So I'd encourage you to do it. And lastly, moving on, real sustainable change, building a lifestyle that brings on these results subconsciously, not to the point where you have to force them by eating this or doing that, but to the point to where it's subconscious. You execute these habits because it's who you are. It's a part of your lifestyle. That's why 75 hard, P90X, like these keto, this shit doesn't last because you changed the how, the method. You maybe even changed the where. Maybe you went to a mastermind, but you didn't change you. You failed to change the who. So it's not sustainable because what you tried, it wasn't a part of who you are. So you went back to your ways. When you stopped getting results, you went back and you tried something different. You keep trying to pivot instead of staying consistent with what works. So not joining my program, not Nick handing you a $10,000 deal on a fucking silver platter, that's not going to make you better. It's about who you are, what you stand for, your core values, and your commitment to your path and your intentions. That is how you change your identity, along with making promises to yourself, to other people, and fucking fulfilling on them. That builds confidence, and that goes back to who you are. That's what you should be focused on. No program, nothing is going to give you that. That's about who you are and what you stand for. And lastly, everything is about 80-20. I'm not referencing like 80% of outcomes come from 20% of actions. I do believe that 100%. But when I say 80-20, I'm saying 80% of the time in your life, you should be locked in. You should be adding value. You should be building meaningful products, things that really fucking help people. 20% of the time, you're going to be sick. You're going to want to go out with your girl and have fun and drink. You know, you might do stupid shit. You might want to go on a vacation, just not work. And that's fun. That's the 20%. So every time you do something that maybe is a bad behavior, you know, you shouldn't be doing. And, you know, as long as it doesn't lead to sustained use or addiction, think this is part of my 20%. If you start saying to yourself, this is part of my 20% a lot, it's past 20%. And that's where you fuck up. For those of you that might know Tim Grover was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's kind of like, I don't want to say fitness coach, but kind of just like coach, like overall. I actually had the chance to speak with him. I went to a mastermind where he was talking, and he had this one quote that I absolutely loved. And he said, when focus outweighs fun, you're in that pocket. You're in that golden pocket. When you have the ability to live your life and continue building and sustain what you have while being ambitious for more but not greedy, you're winning. But when fun outweighs focus, that's where you fuck up. And I believe it's just the true essence of like the 80-20, right? Like stay focused, have your fun, but once the fun outweighs the focus, be aware that that's happening, get back to it, get back in the game, right? I think he said it beautifully, and that's what I embody. I have my times. I'm a health coach. You know, there was times where, you know, my father had a health issue this past July 1st. He had a stroke, right? I just felt like I got blindsided by a truck. I went and I smoked a few blunts, right? I did that. I was kind of down and out for 2 weeks. But then after that, I realized that wasn't who I am. That wasn't a behavior that was really showing who I was at my core. So I let it go, right? And then I recovered and I became a better man. I got better results. I worked harder. I worked smarter. It showed me what my real character was. And what matters is how we bounce back, how we move forward, not just how we fall, right? And last but not least, invest into your health with your habits, with your money, whatever it is. It's the one thing you can invest in that will guaranteed give you a result back, not just in money, but everything. And remember, this blueprint was built with intention and purpose solely to get you results. And of course, if you want to take that next step, you can always see if you can apply any work with me one-on-one, or you can join my school group, which is $500 every single month, where it's like group coaching, but not the one-on-one aspects. And again, this blueprint is yours. I literally went on my Instagram page, which let me just bring that up real quick so I can show y'all. But if you come right here, right, you go to my Instagram page and you click this link right here, then these two will come up. Go to the YouTube channel, you can watch some videos, or you can come right here, you click this, that brings you to where we're at. Come up to the top right, as it says here, click duplicate, and it's yours. It's all about taking action, holding yourself accountable, and always moving forward, no matter what. And that's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for having me, Nick.
Thanks for jumping on, bro.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate that so much, my boy.
Hell yeah,
100%, man.
appreciate all
Needed
that,
it.
bro.
I'm gonna get the boys to put all their takeaways inside the chat, and I'll send them over to you.
Love it, excellent. Thank you for having me, boys. Let me know, reach out, let Nick know, whatever you guys want. I'm here to help, and we'll go from there. And as I like to say, let's continue optimizing.
100%, man.
Yes, sir.
Bet.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, brother.
Take it easy, guys.
Much
Have a good
love,
night.
bro. Much love.
You too, man. God bless.
You too. Peace out.
Alright, that guy knows his shit, you know. Like seriously, that guy really knows his shit.
Bro, that junk's crazy.
Can't lie, he knows his shit still.